The following video game has received the Manashadow stamp of approval. Enjoy. Merchants of Kaidan. This game came to me at just the right time. The last review I did ended up doing nothing but whet my appetite for economy games, and thankfully I got our current game on sale from Steam for about $1.50. Now if you want to buy it not on sale, it's going to cost you about 15 bucks. Space Trader was a fun time waster, but it left me wanting more. And Merchants of Kaidan delivers just that. A little more strategy, a little more detail, a little more depth, and a lot more polish. There's a lot to this game, and it can seem unapproachable at first, but the game does a pretty good job of easing you into it. Let's start with the storyline. You don't just suddenly realize that trading is what you want to do and just run off and do it. It turns out your father was a trader, made a great business out of it, and was even up for knighthood, and then made a bad move throwing his chips in with this douchebag, MacLeod. Apparently, Talad managed to get your father accused of some shady dealing, and he was killed for treason because of it. All while Talad made a tidy profit off of it, of course. You got a cart for your birthday, but you had to run away when a bunch of murderous bandits showed up as your hizzy, so now you're sitting there with nothing of value except your family ring. And you do what any other schmuck does in that situation, you hawk that shit! And the game has begun. The tutorial takes you through the first few steps of the game, hawking your ring, buying a cart, how to buy and sell goods, and periodically throwing a bunch of text at you to read about different aspects of the game. But I'm from the ADHD generation, so I didn't read that shit! I should have read it. Turns out this information is actually really important. I played through the game like it was Space Trader at first. Like eventually I would just find somebody to give me more than what I paid for any particular good, and folks, it don't work that way. In fact, I was thinking about quitting when I got this message from the game. Allow me to paraphrase. Hey, we couldn't help notice that you suck. You've been at this for a while, and you should be a lot farther, thus evidencing your laughable suckitude. Here are some tips on how to not suck as hard and loud as a shopback. Please unfuck yourself. Signed, game developers. Now, at first this made me kind of angry. You knew your game was unapproachable, and so you made a "you suck, here's some hint" screen instead of unfucking your game? Then I decided to put my literacy to use and actually read all the information that the developers gave me at the beginning of the game. So, turns out, you can't just buy goods willy-nilly and expect to make a profit eventually. You need to travel from town to town looking for windows of opportunity. Maybe you'll find two towns next to each other where they're selling food cheaper in one and buying it for more money in the other one. It's not hard because the market screen is actually pretty well designed. Tabs at the bottom allow you to view the market from the past few towns you were on previous days. Now this allows you to quickly tab back and forth. Because the record goes back several days, you can actually get an idea of how the overall market is trending on any particular good that's available to you at this time. That's right, several goods aren't available to you, and it makes it very clear why. Yo ass is po. I mean po. Remember, you ran off, had to sell all your shit, and assumed a fake name to protect yourself from Talad and his cronies. No one knows who the hell you are, and you have no social clout. And your social status is actually really important in this game. Not only does it give you access to the higher value goods, but it also makes certain relations easier. Some people won't work with you if your social status is too low. This ends up being really important in the game, but not until a little later down the road. There are other ways to make money other than finding these windows of opportunity, but they're all dependent on one thing. Your luck. This is the most important stat in the entire game. You have got to be lucky. Now this seems like a programming cop-out on the surface, like your entire success depends on the flip of a coin. But the game actually gives you a little bit more control over this than you might think. But we'll get to that later. Now if we're going to understand why luck is so important, we're going to need to go into what makes the game so varied and interesting, and that is random events. While traveling, you will encounter a variety of random events, from merchants auctioning off their goods to finding things in the grass. Standard mercantile business will keep you afloat, but these random events are how you really get ahead of the game and make that cash money! 3 of these are capable of being particularly lucrative: auctions, a game of craps, and saving people from thieves. Craps is great early on in the game because you automatically gamble some of your goods for theirs. But at the beginning of the game, you only have access to low-level goods, which means you're likely to get goods that are more pricey or even unattainable for you at this point. Auctions are great because you can bet on goods that you normally can't buy. With craps, you're guaranteed to get something, but you may not get anything in an auction if you bet too low. I have doubled my money from 3,000 triguns to 6,000 triguns because I was able to buy... Wait. What the fuck is this? The fuck is a trigun? It's gold. Alright, I've doubled my money because I was able to buy arms and weapons for 40 gold and sell them for 80 gold. That was a huge jump forward, and you wouldn't have been able to do it just piddling around with normal mercantile business. Finally, if you save someone from a band of thieves, they'll give you what I like to call a writ, or a script. Basically, this gives you a preferred price on a particular good at a particular town. Maybe it allows you to buy food cheap in Dunlar, or to sell clothing at a high price in Asmore. Either way, these are a one-time create-your-own window of opportunity that doesn't expire until you trade that particular good in that particular town. I love these things because they allow you to strategize your trade routes to maximize your profits. And that's just a sampling of the many things that can occur. You can also have your cart break down, your hired hands can get drunk and cost you extra time, you can be attacked by thieves, wild animals, and even dragons. That's alright though, you know, it just took an extra day out of your trip, one day. Took one day to whoop a dragon's ass. That all being said, luck is the primary determining factor in which of these fortunate or unfortunate events occur. However, you've got a little bit more control over it than you'd originally think, like I said earlier. Luck is scored on a range from -3 to +3 in 0.1 increments. Certain random events and choices can be bad omens, which will lower your luck. You can counteract this in a few different ways. The first is by stopping into a local temple and offering prayers to the blind god. This is a bit of a gambling minigame. The prices of prayers are actually increased based on your social status. Social commentary. I usually pay middle, low, and then high. But if your luck is below 3, usually one of those will increase your luck by 1. Sometimes you get nothing, and sometimes you get goods. While you can only pray at the temple once every 20 days or so, each city temple is its own entity, so by the time you get back to it, it should be restocked on those sweet, expensive prayer cards. The other way to get luck is through items and special events, most significantly through 4-leaf clovers. I think these only stack so high, but you can get about 0.4 luck for having one, and luck will make you or break you in this game, so keep it high or at least decent, because once it goes low, your world and any plans you make in it are going to turn to shit. As you make your way through the game, you'll find another way to make money: quests. These seem pretty bland on the surface. I want to go to this town, can you take me there? Can you take this parcel to town X? Can you go and get doodad from city Q and bring it back here so that I can then send you to village Z because I forgot to tell you that first time? But instead of turning into filler and padding, it actually works as some pretty nice stitching that binds the different aspects of the game together to create a fairly seamless gameplay experience. Your world isn't as simple as go to the next town hoping to find a deal and dealing with some random shit along the way. Some of these quests have time frames they have to be completed in, others have special requirements like lug 500 kilograms of this guy's crap around, and nearly all of them have more than one step involved. What this does is make you really consider your business decisions. What's the most effective way to go? Do I have a writ in any of the towns that I plan on passing through so I can actually make some money on this trip? Which towns do I need to prioritize getting to sooner? This blends with the other aspects of the game to make a sweet, sweet milkshake of economic ecstasy. Also, when waiting on good fortune to come around, these runaround tasks keep you running to the bank. That's basically the way you make money in this game. You gotta spend money to make money. There are a lot of ways that you can invest your hard-earned precious metal triangles. You can go to the canter and buy items that might actually give you a leg up when talking to people, or even horns that shoo away sea monsters. You can also go to the blacksmith and buy more carts or even wagons to help you cash in more heavily on those windows of opportunity by actually being able to tote more goods around. Hauling more ass is always desirable, so you can buy one of these living nightmares for each of your carts to cut your travel time by up to 33%. It's called a leechalion. It's a leech the size of a horse. It's stronger than a horse. It's faster than a horse. And it's proof that God is dead. If you want to hear some guaranteed bullshit and potentially some useful information, why not stop by the tavern? You can buy any patron one of 3 drinks and then hope they'll give you info that isn't completely useless to you, just like buying people drinks in real life. Taverns are also where you find most of your quests, but as the game progresses, it will be a frequent stop for other reasons, namely hiring people. Those carts don't just magically drive themselves, folks. You need to hire mercenaries to drive those things. Most of them come at an initial hire cost, usually around 35 to 40 gold, followed by a small daily cost, maybe 1 or 2 gold a day. In the beginning of the game, you won't need very many, and it isn't really a good idea to have too many because they can add up fast when it takes you 2 to 3 days to travel between towns and cities, not to mention toll bridges, taxes, and customs. And yes, the further you progress in the game, the further these things put their boot, collectively, right up your financial butthole. The other people you find in taverns are specialists. Now, you won't even have need of these guys until later in the game, but luckily your social status is so low in the beginning that these guys won't work for you for all the money in the world. Well, more accurately, a ridiculous amount of money. Speaking of your social status, this changes based on your rank in the Merchant's Guild. The game keeps track of how much dosh you make in profits. Once you've made about 4,000 gold in profits, you can drop 500 gold and buy your way into the guild. That step is easy. That's the easy part. Every rank beyond that has a particular profit margin that you have to meet, just like the first 400 gold, in addition to a test of your mercantile skill. It's usually something like, make X amount of gold in Y days by going through ABC towns. I found these to be challenging, but not horribly difficult, and really, I think it's really interesting. It is a fantastic way to challenge yourself to make progressing in the game not super easy but not super difficult at the same time, and yet focus it around what you're doing, the merchant aspect of the game. So I actually really enjoyed these. Once you have some high fantasy respects, the game starts to shift a little bit. You're able to buy and sell more goods, but other opportunities open to you as well. At this point, it's actually in your interest to start clearing areas like this on the map. Mines, vineyards, and towers can be explored by your mercenaries to find goods and items, but if you can send enough of them in, you can actually clear the entire area and lay claim to it for yourself. Using a map that you might actually be able to buy off a bar patron, you can actually get to play a mini-game where you traverse the mine, board up potential hazards, and eventually fight the monster in the mine. Let's see how many asses this monster can whoop at any one time. "36. It took 36 swordsmen to drop this sack of crap. You can have a variety of attackers, and I'm sure that some are more effective than others for this particular monster, but having any more than one type makes defending your men impossible, as you have a total of 0.5 seconds to click on their shield icon before they become attacked. But crappy minigame aside, it's a worthwhile investment. Now that you've got land, you need to do something with it. Toothless, Daddy's trying to do something. Could you? Thank you. This is where specialists start to come in. You can leave a monk at the vineyard to make liquor, from which you turn a profit. You can have a foreman excavate your mine and turn it into a mining operation. You can even recruit a sergeant to help your men fight, or a negotiator to help you get the best deals on goods. As a matter of fact, in order to beat that dragon, I had to recruit a sergeant. Specialists are pretty pricey to recruit and have a significantly higher daily fee than mercenaries, but they can make you a lot more money in the long run, especially if you make sure to get them trained up to 3 stars. Just make sure you know what you're hiring them for and when you're going to use them. You don't want these guys just hanging out on your payroll for no reason, otherwise the overhead is going to reach crooked charity organization proportions. And there's still so much more to this game. Sea travel, seasonal price fluctuations, travel insurance, a storyline that continues to develop well, which I've not yet completed at the time of this review, and lots of more nuances that I've already tried way too hard to cover. Merchants of Kaidan is a fantastic game for this ill-represented genre. It's got loads of detail and content, but never inundates you with too many complex interactions. There's a lot to think about, but it does a great job of easing you into it all. By the time you're really ready to start doing this or investing in that, you feel like you've already mastered all of the earlier steps of the game. Every aspect of this game is simple individually, but comes together to form a gameplay that's well-knit and flows together, instead of becoming a complex, tangled web of stats and information that you get wrapped up in, which eventually strangles any fun you were having with the game. If you're into mercantile games, but you don't want the real-time strategy feel of games like Off-World Trading Company or Big Pharma, then Merchants of Kaidan is really a must-have addition to your Steam library. Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much for watching this. It took way too long to make, more time than I'm willing to admit, but thank you so much for watching. I know I've been really absent recently with graduating from nursing school and all of that, so just stay posted. I'm hopefully going to be doing a playthrough of Alien Isolation very soon. I can actually start on that now that I got this project out of the way. So, yeah, definitely pick this game up on sale. That's my biggest recommendation. It might actually be worth it full price, though, but I'll let you make that call. Alright, cool. Thanks again for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw here today. Thanks. Bye.